Just gonna test something real quick, guys.
That's a message.
Nope. I don't know why it's not playing the volume.
You know, and it's a.
Well, that's gonna throw a wrench in the whole plan.
Well,
I thought the TV had volume on it.
Will they be able to hear it on their end?
I don't know. But I wanted to get your reaction to it, and it's going to be hard to do if you can't hear it. Oh, that might have been what it was. Let's see here. Okay. See, man.
What do you think defines you?
Okay, there we go. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Morning Brew podcast. Yes, sir. As always, on Thursdays, I got Mr. Martin Harris, the man, the myth, the legend.
Nah, he took the title I gave to him and gave it to me. No, the man, the myth, and the legend is before us, Mr. Trey. I'm telling you, you take for granted like this side of things, because when it's go time, it's not always go time. It's most of the time you try to figure out what's going on, how it needs to be going. So, I gleaned a Trey. I think I messaged actually, when I do my Monday nights. I was like, Trey, he's like, you need to get this, make sure you get this. Sure enough, I got both the things he said, and things have been running smooth. So that's the man, the myth, and the legend, Trey Grantham.
Hey, we just trying to keep it rolling, man. You see, I'm still trying to work out some kinks in my setup too. This podcasting thing, so much stuff goes into it. So much stuff, man. It's just, and if one little thing is wrong or you don't have one little setting right, the whole thing,
everything. But we stay committed.
Yeah.
And so
trial and error. So Martin, you got a little something for him today?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and bless him real quick.
And I'm going to come out of the book of Acts. And most people say, book of Acts for a daily word. Yeah. Acts chapter 20, verse 35. And it says, in all things I have shown you that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus Christ, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that's been a recurring thing, at least for me. I know people that I'm connected to, it's better to give than to receive. And I know a lot of times for some people, it's hard to do that. It's difficult, especially when you feel like you don't have anything to give.
Right.
But I always tell people, even if you don't have it to give, but you know that you want it to give, to me, it's just as impactful.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to do it. There was an intentional effort to you wanting to. But if you have an opportunity to do it and you can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about money either. That could be advice. It could be, equipment, just in nature of this. It could be paying for somebody's meal, although that's money. But what I'm saying? This any way that you can help somebody, and that help doesn't have specifics on it. Right. That help could be in any myriad of ways, but it's better to give than to receive. Why? Because there should be a joy when you give and see somebody else. Oh, thank you so much. Hey, no problem. Don't mention it. And here's the other key to that, and I'll leave it alone because I'll get going on what I'm about to say. Give it without any expectation of anything in return.
Yeah.
When you give it and you truly do it just because you want to help somebody, then leave it at that.
Right.
Don't come back 6 months later and say, well, you remember that one time I gave you
you owe me.
Yeah. No, I don't remember that because it was 6 months ago.
Right.
But then the other thing too is, and just with that line, if you help somebody and they tell you, hey, you know what, hey, I need help, and you help them, and then you remind them, hey, and they told you, they gave you their word, hey, I'm going to make sure you get this back.
Yeah.
And 6 months down the road, you follow up on what they said. Hey, I just want to check. Oh, and now they don't talk to you anymore.
Right.
They ignore you, or they make it seem like you did something wrong by reminding them of what they said.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I can't help you anymore because now you've taken my kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother situation, but there's nothing wrong with giving because deep in your heart, I did the right thing.
Right.
Even though you're not doing right by me.
Right.
I did the right thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, giving doesn't always have to be financial. Like you can, like just me sharing what I know with you and Steven about this podcast, information can help somebody take their life to another level or whatever they want to do to another level. And then that in turn will bring more money. I mean, when you help somebody as far as information or knowledge or anything like that, like as long as you just keep grinding it out and doing what you're doing, the money will. People worry too much in the beginning about the money not coming.
It, man.
You know what I mean? If you stay focused on something and you do it long enough and you keep on pumping it out like these episodes with the podcast, the money will follow if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep. And I truly believe that. That's why if you're passionate about it, keep doing it. And you may not see the fruit of it in the beginning because like Trey said, you're just starting out. I mean, you're not going to see the fruits of everything, from the jump because you got to get some traction. And part of that traction is, like you said, gleaning on the people that's been doing it, reaching out and sometimes giving that. Here's what I'm saying. We'll end it like this. You're able to give to somebody else because somebody gave to you.
Right.
You're blessed to be a blessing. Right. So the information me and Steven get from Trey, we then are internalize that. And now we're able to give a better podcast or a better live because it was given to us. So now we're giving it. And then somebody else hears it and then they're giving it. Now it's a ripple effect of just continual giving, which is why it says it's better to give than to receive. Because ultimately you're receiving satisfaction in knowing you gave somebody help, advice, education, and it's not always monetary.
Yeah. And it usually comes back around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just want to check this real quick because I'm so paranoid now because there's been so many times.
Oh, absolutely.
I just want to check this. Okay, that sounds great.
Sounds crisp.
Okay, so there was, since you said what you said, that kind of reminded me of something else because we were sitting here talking about like pumping out episodes, and eventually it reminded me of a verse or scripture that Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. Remember how we were talking about how a lot of these athletes now seems like the tide's turning and a lot of them are turning more to God?
Yep.
He posted this after the spring game, and man, it really hit home, and it kind of goes to what we were already talking about anyway. So I'll go ahead and read it to you. Tell me if I'm saying this wrong. Ecclesiastes?
That's good. Ecclesiastes,
okay. Yep. Okay. 11:4-6. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. Just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God, who does all things. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if it will profit from one activity or another, or maybe both.
Man,
that reminded me so much of what we do with this podcast.
That's exactly what it is.
Every day we get up and we keep on grinding. You might not be seeing a lot of money out of it, but you're planting those seeds, and eventually they're going to sprout, and you're going to see the fruits of your labor.
I always tell y'all, this man got a word in him, man. First of all, and again, this organic conversation, what I love about the Morning Brew, Ecclesiastes is literally the book of sowing and reaping. They actually start. There's a time to plant. There's a time to water. There's a time for this. There's a time to laugh. There's a time to cry.
Right.
And to that point, Ecclesiastes just gives you. There's going to be times where you have to sow a seed,
right? And
then there's going to be times you're going to reap the harvest of that seed. But the middle part is what Trey's talking about. The wait.
Right.
Right. It's not always the. Well, I planted it last week. Why am I not getting 1,000 views on this? You just planted it last week.
Right.
Now, granted, there's notoriety that comes with that, right? And this is just, I don't know why this is what it is. Whatever advice we can give if you have a passion to do this, because I'm no expert in it, but I'm passionate about what I do.
Right.
Right. So I glean from the ones that's been doing this for a while. And the biggest thing for me is, to that point, he said the farmer keeps us. He doesn't stop plowing because he doesn't see a harvest. He keeps doing it because he knows it's going to come from the soil.
Right.
So I got to keep tilling it. I got to keep watering. I got to make sure it's getting all the nutrients. Right. And eventually, in due season, you'll see the harvest. And the harvest may not be what you think. It may not be financial. Right. The harvest may be you getting 2 or 3, 4 or 5, 10 or 12 consistent people that taps in and supports what you do. Mm-hmm. That could be the harvest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We would like to see it be financial, but it may not be that. It could be just every Thursday, every Friday, every Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is.
Yeah. We
tap into the Morning Brew. Right? I know on Friday, I'm a faithful listener to the Morning Brew. That's a plug. Be a faithful listener to the Morning Brew. But I know I tap in.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't only tap in, it's only on Thursday, so that's one time I do it. No, I'm sowing seed because I'm getting something out of it, whether it's education, a good laugh, just a chill time. But I'm reaping the benefits of somebody sowing a seed. And that's what this is. So that's spot on, man.
Yeah. And if you know anything about planting or taking care of plants, I mean, I do. I've killed my fair share. Not all of them are going to even sprout at all. So you can't let that persuade you into not planting more. You just got to keep planting until that one good one sprouts. And like you said, with the with getting that 7, 8, 9, 10 consistent people that tap in to listen to you, that's like the roots of it. And what do the roots do? They usually branch off into more. You know what I mean? And that's those 10, 12 consistent viewers telling their friends about your podcast.
Come on.
And then they come watch your podcast. And then before you know it, you got 100 viewers.
Come on.
Consistently. You know what I mean?
But the key is keep grinding. Keep grinding. And I mean, you're talking to somebody. Can we be organic?
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody that, and I'm going to say this, but most of his life leading up to my God moment, I was sowing seeds of lying, of hellacious behavior, and I was reaping a harvest of mistrust, people not wanting to be around me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was sowing that seed, right? And this is what even what we're going to talk about today, and whatever Trey has for us today, everything that we talk about are seeds, right? And again, it's not to say that everything bad that happens in your life is because of a bad seed that you sown.
Right.
No, I'm going to say this for some of y'all, some of you are reaping the harvest or getting the harvest from what seed somebody else sowed into your life because you chose to water it. What does that mean, Mark? What are you talking about?
Man.
Somebody sowed the seed of negativity in your life. They told you that you were never going to be nothing. They said you're never going to amount to anything. They said that you're a no count. They sowed that seed in your brain. You watered it. How do you water that, Mark? By thinking on it, by continually believing it. Eventually, it spreads to harvest. What's the harvest? You now believe you're not going to be anything. So then your lifestyle, catch this, continues in that behavior. You don't want to get a job. What's the point? I'm not going to grind. What's the point? I'm not going to try to make it. What's the point? Now everything is, well, they told me I'm not going to do it anyway. So what's the point?
Right.
You've now produced a harvest yourself because of somebody else's seed. But the beautiful thing, Trey said this, you have the ability to uproot it.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Take it off the limbs, and that's not going to do anything because the root's still there. This man got a word, I'm telling you. Right. But you get to the root. Well, how do I get the root, Martin? How do I take the root of what my dad or my mom, or my auntie or uncle told me when I was a kid? You start sowing your own seed. You said, I'm not going to be a no count, but I am going to finish college. You said, I'm not going to no count, but I am going to get a job. I don't care if I got to flip burgers.
Right.
That's purpose. That's income. And then I work toward doing more. Right. You start sowing your own seeds. And then here's the thing, get around people who's able to sow good seed into you. Right. I can say right now that on Thursdays and even outside of Thursdays, I can text this man, and we don't, we grew up together. I was always known as Rev in high school. I always had Bible in one hand, oil in the locker, always dressed in 3-piece suits. Now here's the difference though. I was trying to get them to see a harvest that I wasn't really producing.
Right. Yeah.
They were good, close friends of mine. Every social group, Rev was there because when prayer was, but here's the thing. They didn't really believe it back then because they knew, Rev, you got some work to do, right? Now the fruits of that, they're able to see it. So I say that because Trey said, I'm not going to have anybody that's not real. But he's seen that. He's seen you sowed some bad seed, but you uprooted those, and now you planted some good seed.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're married. I'm talking about me. 4 kids, good job, doing ministry, right? Pastoring, right? To where now my fruit doesn't really have to give any explanation because it's being seen.
Mm.
And here's the thing. Surround yourself with people that's planting good seeds in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care who they are. You know, well, I do. Right.
Yeah.
But let me double down on that. I do care because you can't just have everybody speaking in your life.
Right.
But find some people around you that's able to speak good into you, but also that's able to keep it real.
Yeah.
You don't want no overly optimistic people in your life.
Yeah. 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 Just a bunch of yes men.
Yeah, come on, Trey. They'll do more harm to you than somebody that's not speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. Oh, yeah. That's a good thing. No, it's not. There's some things you gotta. Nah, bro, you shouldn't do that. That's not a good move.
Yeah, you gotta be able to take constructive criticism.
Yeah.
A lot of people get defensive when someone gives them constructive criticism, but you gotta be able to differentiate between hate and somebody just trying to help you get better at what you're doing.
That's it.
Because you're not doing it perfect. I promise you, whatever it is you're doing, you're not doing it perfect. So there's always room for improvement.
Come on.
So you got to be able to listen to people without getting defensive about it. And like you were saying with watering the wrong seeds, a lot of people are weeds. You know, a lot of people are weeds.
Teach
us.
us.
And if you know anything about weeds, they'll overtake whatever plant they get around. And they'll take all the nutrients from them just so they can grow.
Do you hear?
So,
teach us, sir. Teach us.
That's all I got, man.
Oh, man. Teach us.
Yeah. We're going to get to these comments real quick, man, so we can. Dylan Coleman, good morning to you both. Good morning, Dylan. Appreciate you tuning in, man. I know you're probably at work, but we appreciate you tuning in.
Bless you, sir.
Paige, yes. And I think she was agreeing with something that we were saying in the beginning, probably about the harvest.
Okay.
You know, Shirley Brown, men may spurn our appeals, reject our message, oppose our arguments, despise our persons, but they are helpless against our prayers. J. Sidlow Baxter.
That's powerful.
Yes, it is.
Yeesh.
Does he have a book or something?
I don't know.
I don't know who he is, but he's got something.
Tap in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sebastian Walker, so good.
Dude cracks me up.
Shirley Brown, truth. We are here to help plan. I look forward to the podcast every day because I know it's a 1 hour block where I can interact with others and listen. No other podcast I watch does this. Yeah, man. I think that's one of the, because we were doing the pre-recorded podcast, and I think that's one of the things that I love about the live episodes is that we can actually interact and respond to people in real time if they have questions. You know what I mean? Because if they comment on something, because we're busy a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So if they comment on something a couple hours after we did the show, we might not be able to get back to it.
That's true.
You know, so I like being able to interact with them in real time and answer questions that they might have.
And Dylan, I just want to say this. I mean, I watch when I can, and it's usually frequent, but you.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away from Trey because this is the one, but I can tell you are a faithful listener.
Yes, he is.
And I mean consistently, and I just want to give that shout out for whatever angle I have because I support Charles. I mean, it is, you know, it's different flavor for different people, but I support Trey. I get my laughs, you know, my high school buddies, but Dylan is consistent. I don't care what platform it is. Dylan's tapping in.
Yeah, he's in there.
He's tapped. So again, this is Trey, but I'm just saying, I notice you for whatever it's worth.
Yeah,
faithful. That's a harvest. That's the harvest of this.
There's got to be more like Dylan's because if you get 50, 60 people like Dylan, you know what I mean? It ain't hard to get hundreds after that.
Come on.
It's not hard to get hundreds after that. Because I mean, like he said plenty of times on here, he'll make sure that his break lines up with when we go live at work. You know what I mean? So he's
intentional. You hear me?
Yeah. So he's making sacrifices just so he can tune in.
That's
what I mean? And we appreciate it, man. We always appreciate it. So first thing that I wanted to talk about, I actually had this topic on here a few times, and we just, you know, when we get going, we
do, bro.
I don't get to all the topics, man. I don't get to all of it because when we get going, we get going. But that was good with the whole harvest thing, though. So
that was just organic, no pun intended.
Yeah, and I think, and that applies to everybody. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's experienced some kind of situation in their life like that.
Yeah.
But we talked about the Passion of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that the guy who played Jesus Christ in that movie got struck by lightning during the making of that movie?
No.
There was multiple people that got struck by lightning during the making of that movie. He got struck by lightning. The part of the movie where he's like out in the middle of the city and he's talking to like a crowd of people. During the filming of that, he got struck by lightning. So I wanted to know what you thought. Is there anything in the Bible that tells us that we shouldn't imitate Jesus?
Well, contraire, the Apostle Paul actually says that we should be imitators of Christ.
Okay.
But he's talking about in actions of our day to day. Obviously, the Passion of the Christ took a very intentional effort,
right?
Much like The Chosen is,
of
putting the life of Christ on the main screen, and again, for profit. I still hold true to saying that the Passion of the Christ is the most accurately depicted movie that shows the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, as much as it could with whatever. The fact that, and it's not funny, I chuckled just at the irony of it.
It's crazy.
The fact that the guy who played Jesus got struck by lightning, that's odd to me.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of them things that we always talk about. Like at some point, it ain't a coincidence no more. Because anybody on set could have got struck by lightning. You got the guy that's playing Jesus, who gets struck by lightning. So
yeah, I hate that happened to him, because I think since then he
didn't die. So we'll say that he did not die.
Yeah, they continued filming.
Yeah.
But I don't, like you said, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe things just happen. And like you said, more people, not just him, but other people while on the set.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was one of the highest grossing movies, if not the highest grossing movie during that time.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
So Olivia said that it was made after Mel Gibson fully believed he met the Antichrist.
I didn't know that.
So she's saying like he felt like he needed to make that movie because he's seen someone as the Antichrist and he felt like the world needed that movie, or what?
Well, I know that when they interviewed him, he said he wanted to make sure people understood the gospel.
Right.
But yeah, there was actually, I think, an interview he did where he does mention, he actually mentioned about seeing a,
she said it was a 1998 interview.
Okay, that sounds like, it was an older, where he mentioned he had a real encounter, and that's where he actually started to pivot his lifestyle to be more Christ-like.
Right.
Now, Mel Gibson, from what I understand, was always a believer, but I think to the extent of the Passion of the Christ, he put every effort into making it known that he, how much he believed.
Yeah.
But I know he mentioned that he wanted people to truly see the gravity of Christ's death, which is why he said he put his own money into it, because I don't think Hollywood really supported it.
Yeah.
So Mel Gibson used his money, and I think it was in the millions.
And the guy who played Jesus, I can't remember his name right now. He said that he was super picky to make sure that he got that movie exactly how he wanted it to be. He said he was super picky. He said like they had to do some scenes so many times, but if there's one movie that you're going to do it for, it should be that one.
Come on, man. And I hate that the lightning came, but maybe that's a confirmation.
Yeah.
That, perseverance, that even lightning that came. And let me just put an interjection in this for those that are watching. For those that were living in Bucyrus, Ohio, pray for you, because I heard Bucyrus got completely hit.
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
Yeah, man.
Somebody sent me, I think it was Steven, sent me a picture of the Dollar General.
Yeah,
the entire roof is off the building.
Yeah.
But again, talking about lightning and this crazy stuff. And I would just say this, and I would go right back on track, Trey.
Oh, you're fine.
The fact that they hyped up the last storm that we did not get, I wasn't really putting any stock into this one. because I was driving from Columbus.
Well, that's what happens when you cry wolf.
I'm like, well, I'm in it. But then I start seeing the clouds.
Well,
like,
that's the thing. I felt bad because I was like, I don't want nobody posting these
you
severe.
were the champion in it.
I was like, I don't want nobody posting no severe storm maps on my timeline. None of that.
I holler when I see that. I was like, is Trey's going to be the one to call anybody out?
Yeah. And then I felt bad because I'm at work and I start getting all these notifications on Facebook and it's people posting downtown Bucyrus like tore up, like their businesses tore up. And I'm like, man, I didn't mean to make you guys like not prepare for it. Yeah. I'm just saying they cried wolf so many times and nothing ever happens.
Man,
it's kind of hard to take it serious.
It was hard for me until my wife called me and said, yeah, and I think from where the dance studio, Kiana's dance studio was, they seen it pass right over.
Oh, yeah.
And it was heading north. And I was like, well, all right. She says, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm on 23.
Yeah.
And there was raining so hard I had to put my hands on, but I was not stopping. And I just
Jesus take the wheel.
Literally, this is one of those moments where my faith is activated. We are moving, and I'm not.
We got faith in the tank. No gas, all faith.
All faith. We running on fumes and faith.
No break, straight faith.
Man, we're getting straight to Marion because 23 was crazy, and the rain was coming down so hard. It was hard to see, so I had to go from like 65 miles an hour to like 40 instantly. But this one that talking about lightning and all that. For those that are in Bucyrus, I think they're still trying to recoup.
Yeah, prayers for you guys in Bucyrus.
Absolutely.
That was a lot worse than what we got here in Marion.
Way worse.
I didn't see any damage at all here in Marion.
No.
It definitely got windy, but not enough to do what happened there because I was seeing like light posts that were on the street, like knocked over into buildings and stuff. Wow. Caleb Saunders, I pray God blesses this platform. You can reach and influence so many people for Jesus. I appreciate the heart. Yes, sir. Appreciate you being on here, Caleb. And Caleb, Stephen came in here this morning with Martin. He was telling me how you was watching the Charged Up podcast, and he was like, Trey cusses a lot on there. Hey, man, I'm just trying to. I'm slowly progressing.
He's a work in progress.
I'm a work in progress, man. I know I got a lot of excuses though. It's the highest grossing film.
Okay, I thought so.
Jim Caviezel.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Isn't it? Yep, that is him. And it's because of his, his long hair and his, and all that. But okay.
So wanted to show you this because we have been talking about how it kind of seems like the tide is shifting. More people are, and I think Denzel was always this kind of person, but I never really have seen Denzel go live on a platform. He went live on Instagram with a pastor and was just talking about his devotion to God's plan. So I want to go ahead and play that for you here.
Okay.
1-2 punch we've had so far. The Lord knows where we're headed, and only God knows where we're headed. So we're being forced to deal with powers higher than ourselves, whether we like it or not. We better open our eyes and look at the reality of what's going on. This Amen. It's not a joke.
So what do you think? What do you think Denzel was really trying to talk about right there?
I honestly think this one, what he said is it's time to start paying attention. Now, one thing is interesting, with Denzel, because he is regarded as the most prolific actor in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, he is literally an A-list actor. Anything he plays, and I think Denzel's played everything from the good guy to the bad guy to the ruthless villain to the ultimate savior, in movies. So he's seen Hollywood in totality. But one thing I appreciate about Denzel is he never compromises when it comes to, in other words, he has no problem saying no.
Right.
I say that as a backdrop to what we just seen is that because he's seen so much, because he's been in Hollywood for decades. I mean, we're in our 30s and he's been doing movies at least for 30 years.
Right.
That he is now publicly saying, listen, and to your point, he's always, I believe, has always had his faith. Thinking about this thing back on his Oscar winnings, and he's always given honor to God.
Yeah.
But to this video, he's saying now it's time to start paying attention.
Yeah.
That if you aren't aware, you need to get aware.
He's saying like it's been brought in front of you now. highlight it. Make sure you don't forget about it, because they always try to brush it under and move on to the next thing real quick. And
like you said, with these actors and with these people of stardom, and we've talked about this before, it's getting more and more obvious and more of a thing of them stepping into their platforms or their sphere of influences and making Christ known.
Right.
And people like us, like, regardless of what you think about me, and I think Denzel's probably going to think where you're going to need me at this point before I'll need you.
Right. Yeah.
And that's because of his stardom.
Yeah.
You're going to need me before I need you.
Yeah.
So.
And did you see the Book of Eli that he did?
I did.
Book of Eli.
I did.
That is one of my favorite movies.
As it should
That
be.
is one of my favorite movies. And just the fact that the movie, for those of you that haven't seen the movie, the plot of the movie is he has the last Bible that exists in humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And you really see how important they realize it is,
right,
when it comes down to the world being nothing.
Right.
I mean, when it being the apocalypse, the people trying to get the Bible from him, they realize how much power that word in that Bible has. And the main guy who's trying to take it from him knows that once he has that word, he can control everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good movie to show like how powerful the word is in the Bible, but it can be used for good or bad. Because I mean, you've always got on here and you've talked about the people in power at churches, sometimes using it for the wrong things. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a great message in there. And he was protecting it. He was protecting it because he didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands.
That's it.
Because he understood the power of it.
And I would encourage anyone, and I think it's on Paramount Plus. I don't know if it's on Netflix. I'm sure it is. But if you have an opportunity to watch it, and don't just watch it from a observation point of view. I would encourage you to watch it to get the message of it. Because Drake, he gave it protecting what he deemed to be sacred because he knew what it possessed.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because Monday or yesterday, I taught Bible study at our church, and we did live stream just because of the weather. And I was talking about authority and how our authority comes from the Word of God and holding it sacred. So just the timeline of that, and correlating that with this movie is, you're going to hold sacred the thing that you respect, right? If I respect you, I'm going to hold, you to a higher level of honor, right? If I don't respect you, I could care less how I talk to you or how I treat you.
Yeah.
So, and again, I say this, and, on the backdrop of this book, and I'm going to say this publicly, and I've said it before, taking the Bible and kicking it across the platform on Super Bowl Sunday, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or taking the Bible and pouring syrup and all over it.
Yeah.
And saying, it's ridiculous. So you're going to hold sacred that which you respect.
Yeah.
If I respect it, I'm going to take care of it. Yeah. It's just no different than the equipment. I care about it, making sure it stays intact because so I'm going to make sure I don't do anything that's going to bring harm to it. And that's how you should treat anything that you hold sacred, particularly the Word of God. And again, it goes back to the planning. What we talked about, the harvest. If you care about what you just, planted, you're going to prune it. You're going to water it. You're going to take care of it. You're going to maybe put a little fence around it so no weeds get in it.
Yeah.
Because you're protecting that which you sown. So I would encourage you, watch the movie and then look for the message behind it, and see how it can apply to your life.
Yeah, because there is a big one, and there is a nice little twist at the end that you don't realize throughout the whole movie. You might realize it the second time watching, and I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but just make sure you watch it, man. It's a very good movie. Definitely one of my favorite movies by Denzel Washington. But like you said, I cannot stand when I see people on social media, and I've always said, if you don't believe in God, if you don't like the whole religion of Christianity or anything like that, that's fine.
Absolutely,
that's fine. But when I have a problem with it is when people completely go out of their way to disrespect it. You know what I mean? It's like they don't even have to do it. It's just like they're voluntarily.
That's it, Trey.
Putting themselves in a situation to talk down on it.
Yeah. And here's what I say about that. I'm never going to disrespect how you believe in something.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to maybe disagree with it.
Yeah.
And most times I probably am. But if you're asking me, well, can you respect my opinion about it? Sure. Why? Because it's your opinion.
Yeah.
I have no right or no audacity to come against how you feel about something.
Right.
So the same respect that you are wanting from those of the Christian community, you know, we're asking that you give that to us.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, we do have a mandate to call what's wrong, wrong, and call what's right, right. But I'm never going to disrespect you because of how you feel or because of what you believe or how you identify. No, because at the end of the day, you're still human.
Right.
And I have an obligation opening text.
Yeah.
The word of the day, you know, it's better to give to receive. I don't care who you are. If I see that you're in need, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But for you to disrespect and outlandishly just disrespect my faith because you don't agree with it, but yet get mad at me when I speak against.
Yeah.
So there's hypocrisy.
Well, there's a lot of times when they believe in something that they know goes against what the Bible says,
right?
They automatically make you their enemy.
Come on, Trey.
You know what I mean?
Public enemy number one.
Yeah. And just because because you believe in God and you believe in the word in the Bible doesn't mean that you hate that person.
Come on.
Like you said, you guys just have a different view on things.
That's it.
But they are always the ones that point the finger at you and say, you're full of hate. You know what I mean? They make you the enemy just because of your faith. But we're not making them the enemy because of what they believe.
Yeah. And and I never will. But I just say collectively shame on those who makes it seem as though, like you said, you call me a hater when you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But I've said this before, you know, people who are Christians, we do have a different way that we operate and walk as we should.
Yeah.
But we're still people.
Right.
And we still need to garner respect to and from each other. So, you know.
Yeah. And I think if any real Christian who is actually trying to apply what they read in the Bible to their life, they're going to pray for that person more times than not.
That's it, Trey. That's it.
While this person is over here trying to slander your name on social media and everybody that they talk to, you know what I mean?
Teach us.
So imagine you're sitting there talking. I mean, it just goes back to the Judas thing with Jesus.
Yep.
Just imagine sitting there talking down on somebody, slandering their name to everybody that you know, and that person that you're talking about like that is praying for you. You know what I mean?
That's good.
But
it's real.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle always say it may not be good, but it's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100%.
You might not see the way that I see, but I can only pray that you do.
Come on.
You know,
that's powerful.
You love the sinner, but hate the sin. You don't have to believe the same thing to be loved and respected.
That's true. And
Steven, only 34 minutes late. Not bad. What's up? Hey, but you had an excuse. You had a legitimate excuse, so we'll let it slide this time. We'll let it slide.
Yeah. One time only.
Because Judas ate too. Jesus loved him too.
Ooh, leave that up for a minute. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Judas, leading up to Resurrection Sunday. But Olivia, I want you to look at what she said. Judas ate too.
Yeah.
And I don't know who this woman is. That's powerful.
Yeah.
He still sat he still sat at the table.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said. That's stuck with me, Trey. Because if you go back to a few morning brews and Trey talked about actually the one leading up to Resurrection Sunday, Trey said, I wasn't convinced that Jesus was God just because of his miracles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he performed them. He said, that's not what sold me. He said, what sold me, this stuck with me, was how he handled everything he came in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's what impressed me the most.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, bro, when you said that. Like, what convinced me that Jesus is who he is was how he handled people that betrayed him.
Yeah.
We were talking about Judas.
Yeah.
He said, because we know there's no way, if I'm knowing you're about to betray me,
not feeding you.
Right. And he still ate.
Yeah.
Jesus knowing, we're still going to break bread together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to wash your feet. I'm still going to make you feel loved and valued, knowing that in the next 15 to 20 minutes, you're about to go sell me for 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah. Different.
Olivia, that's good.
He was moving different, man. He was moving different. He was moving different, man. And I think he might have just realized, like, I'm still going to do this good deed for you because I know that that's just more that you have to live with after you betray me.
Teach us, Trey.
You know,
the conviction afterwards.
Yeah, like you have to live with it. You know, you're going to suffer more than I am.
At the end of the day,
put that on your heart. Once you realize who I am,
come on.
Yeah, once you realize who I am, you're going to have to suffer more than me.
My goodness.
All right. So I don't think we talked about it on here since it happened. I know you had a meeting or something. I can't remember. And then I had some stuff going on.
Yeah.
What did you think about them declaring Transgender Visibility Day on Resurrection Sunday? And I call it Resurrection Sunday now because I was calling it Easter for the longest. You know?
Teach us.
Call it Resurrection Sunday.
It was blasphemous and it was a mockery.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this openly, you know, this goes back to our previous conversation. I'm not downplaying anybody's beliefs.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say this. The fact that it was strategically done by the man who holds the highest office in our nation to intentionally make this on the same day as our Resurrection Sunday, it to me was a complete mockery.
Well, what they were trying to do was they were trying to justify it by saying see, I got those two. I didn't even know I had it. They were trying to justify it by saying, well, Easter, Transgender Visibility Day is on this day every day of the year, and Easter changes every year. Okay, well, if it lines up to where it just so happens that it's on that same day, move it.
Period.
This should always be reserved. You know what I mean? We can't reserve this one day. No. And I looked into it more, and then they got 156 other days related to transgender throughout the year.
You couldn't have picked one of those and doubled up.
And you can't reserve this one day for Jesus, for his resurrection. That's what I had a problem with.
Well, my problem is a little more direct. Just the fact that you, and I say you, this as the nation, you know, the president, Joe Biden, would put a proclamation out and deem this. Now, again,
you can't tell me he didn't know what
he knew exactly what he was doing, and the people in his ear knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
because I'm sure Joe didn't probably make that decision himself.
Right. It's doubtful.
You know, but at the end of the day, I respect the office. I just don't respect any of the decision. And quite frankly, they're not going to reverence that day because they still call it Easter.
Yeah.
You know, when you start changing the language as Resurrection Sunday, it puts a little more emphasis on it.
Yeah.
But no, look at it. Transgender visibility. And what that tells me, because that's exactly what they called it. We want you to see this rather than this.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to bring visible. We're going to bring light to this rather than this.
Yeah.
Well, then you're making you
should have just called it Resurrection Overshadow Day.
I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, like you were saying with the rabbit and the egg, they're constantly coming up with new stuff to take away from what really should be observed on that day. And then they right in front of our face came up with something.
And again, you know, people say this is controversial. You know, conversation. To me, it's not controversial at all.
Just use some common sense. Huh?
That's right. You're using the wrong C word. It's common sense.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you choose to believe when it comes to that's your prerogative.
Right.
But don't usurp that belief nationally to force people to bring their visibility or their awareness to that.
Yeah.
Because that's what you did.
Look at this instead of this.
That's what it was.
That's what you were doing.
And to me, you leveraged your position as the president to make it a national proclamation to where we're seeing it on our streams.
Right.
Because you're the president making a national proclamation.
Yeah.
The level of disrespect is absolutely unreal.
It's going to get attention.
And to me, like I said, and I stand behind it, it's a mockery. It's
well, and then if you looked at the actual declaration that they put out at the top where it has like the seal for Washington, D.C. or the White House or whatever it is, they had the rabbit and the egg up there. Wow. I mean, you would think that they would put the cross, right? But we're so far away from that now. You can't do that, or people are going to get equally as mad at that as they are about the transgender visibility thing.
And here's the thing. they will say, well, we can't put the cross on there because it offends people.
Mhm.
We can't talk about Christ because it's going to offend people. But we don't care how it offends. You know what I'm saying?
We don't care about Christians being offended.
No. You know, you guys should be able to get over it because you're Christians.
Mhm.
You guys should be able to understand why you're getting this backlash.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're no longer human. No, we know
Yeah.
our thoughts and it doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
yours do.
Yeah.
And like you said, we become public enemy number one when we speak against that because we're Christians.
Yeah.
No.
I got disrespectful messages about what I said about it. Because I posted it and I said, this is sick. And the first person that messaged me about it, first thing he said was, Easter isn't even on Sunday. So he reacted purely out of emotions, obviously, because he must have messaged me as soon as he seen it without even going and looking when it was, because it was Sunday. And I was like, what isn't Sunday? And then he realized that it was Sunday and he was like, I'm not going to waste my time talking about it.
Well, of course not.
Because you're wrong.
Right, ain't nothing to talk about anymore.
Yeah. If I was wrong right when I messaged somebody, I would stop talking about it too.
Backpedal quickly.
Yeah.
I'll probably block you because of the embarrassment.
Because you know how it fell in March this year instead of April.
Right.
Everybody was so used to it being in April.
Yep.
So he just instantly messaged me and was like, it's not even on Sunday. And I was like, what's not on Sunday? Because I know it is. And then after that, backpedal real quick. And it's like, if you're going to try to message somebody and argue with them about something, at least check and make sure what you're arguing about is right.
I'm not going to waste my time talking about this.
Man.
But you had enough time to message me.
Yeah.
And had you have been right, you would have been continually engaged in conversation.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Steven want to know if you saved any trail mix for him.
Yeah, hey. I didn't get any trail mix this time. I gotta shout out to, I know Trey would do his due diligence, but shout out to Connect Coworks for always having fresh coffee.
Hey, yeah, shout out to Connect Coworks, man. Shout out to Connect Coworks. When I made this new layout, I forgot to put now that he said that, I forgot to put their logo on it.
Oh, no, we appreciate them and their trail mix, which is extremely good. It's like a caramel.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, it's delicious.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bucket down here.
Yeah, I haven't had it yet.
Oh,
I seen them apples in there though. They was about to get taken, put in pockets.
Walking around out with a chick mouse with a pocket full of.
So Olivia said, I find it disrespectful. We are expected to respect the other days they celebrate, but they can't respect our day that has been happening much longer.
Teach us, Olivia. Teach us.
And I don't care if it just so happens that it lines up on that day. Move it. You know what I mean? If there's one day that should be reserved, it should be that day. You know what I mean? Because we're acknowledging the resurrection of Christ. You know?
Come on.
What's more important than that?
No. Now again,
besides the birth of Christ, you know?
To me, nothing.
I mean, and if you don't believe in it, like we've said, that's fine. But you have to understand that this has been going on a lot longer than Transgender Visibility Day. So I think that this gets grandfathered in, correct?
I mean, it should.
Goodness gracious. But they just want to, but they instantly get so much hate.
Oh, man.
They instantly get so much hate in their heart and they attack. And I told the guy, I was like, I've never spoke to you in person. We've never had a conversation. So for you to just come at me and assume,
that's disrespectful.
Yeah. And assume that I don't like any transgender person simply because I don't agree with it being on this day. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
I mean, you're still a human.
Yeah.
So
I have no problem with transgender people. I have no problem with homosexuals. None of that. But when you start putting it as a priority over anything related to God, that's when I have a problem.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did it on that exact day, it was like they were intentionally being disrespectful.
Oh yeah, they knew what they were doing. They knew the day that they were doing it on.
Yeah.
And they strategically did it the day before. I mean, they knew exactly what they were doing. You know, so
yeah, and I made the comparison. It would be like making National Bacon Week on Muslims Ramadan. You know what I mean?
That's good. Okay. That's actually a very
like how disrespectful it was.
That's good. That's extreme.
So,
yeah,
because that looks very intentional.
That's good.
You know they don't eat that.
Yeah.
So, brother, please understand that the comment Stephen was not out of judgment or gossip. We all work in progress and have my faults too. I don't know you from Adam, and I asked him because he knows you better and I'm nobody to correct you. I just hope you didn't take offense to that. If so, I apologize. Oh, no, Caleb, no.
You got to know, Trey, there was no offense taken.
Absolutely not, man. It's very hard for me to get offended. And I completely understand where you're coming from because you see me on here with Martin a lot of times and I don't cuss one time, and that's out of respect for Martin. And we sit on here and we talk about God, and then I have the other platform where it's just I try to give you guys a good mix of stuff, okay? But I also am progressing as a person, and I'm trying to break old habits. So, yeah, I took no offense, though. So you don't ever have to worry about that, man.
Yeah, Caleb, no, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting in front of him. I literally agree. That comment,
yeah.
No, if you were to go back to some of his feeds, I think one lady got into it with him on his post.
Yeah.
And actually said kind of, well, how can you do this and say things about God? And Trey immediately says, well, because it's my platform.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And again, we don't, it's like the other thing. If people ask, well, how can you be on there with him? No one does this. Because of what he's bringing visibility to. No pun intended, but yeah. Yeah. But again, when we're on here on Thursdays, this is a different type. Oh, this is going to be good. This is a different type of planters.
Yeah.
And harvest.
Yeah.
Right. And again, his motive is pure. His heart is, and we learn off each other. And I said this throughout the day. There's little words and sermonettes in that he said that Drake.
Yeah.
That can preach. So.
Yeah. And I understand. I mean, it's no coincidence that I have Martin on the Morning Brew and not the Charged Up podcast. I know a lot of the stuff that I do on the Charged Up podcast is toxic behavior, and I don't want to spread my weeds into his harvest.
Teach us, sir.
I don't want to spread my weeds into his harvest, So I draw a very thick line in between the two,
He said I don't want to put my weeds in his harvest. That's a word.
It's a sanctification mountain. It takes time.
That's it, man. And the mountain's a good way to say it. It's a mountain. We acknowledge we're trying to get to the top, but every now and again we're going to miss that one hang on. Right. But we're still striving to be better. And again, Clay, and I think Caleb, he's a good guy, So we're not trying to harp him, but this, we know, and I can't speak for Trey, but we said that to him. And again, we know a lot of people that watch on Thursdays probably won't tap into a Charged Up. Just because by nature of what it is. And that's okay, but yeah, Caleb, I'm just not speaking for Trey because he can speak for himself, but knowing Trey personally for decades, he did exactly what he said just now. He said behind the camera before, I know, work in progress.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said to me.
Steven told me that, and I laughed about it because I know how contradicting the two are. I know, but I'm human, man. I'm human, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I'm different every day, it seems.
We're gonna help him.
I'm just trying to filter through. So I wanted to put this up here for you, so you could look at it. And I think this is a very good representation of what's going on today.
Come on.
They brainwashed you, and you have all the vaccine and the transgender visibility, I'm sure, is on there somewhere. And I don't even know what half that stuff is, but I'm sure it's a thing.
Which is even more of a man, that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
To your point, Trey, we don't even know what half that stuff is.
Right.
But when you look at that guy, you know exactly what that cross symbolizes. What it is. We don't need all that extra hoopla.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think they got it wearing a mask too.
Yeah. Right.
So,
but we're the one brainwashed. But yet you have to identify with all this other stuff to find your identity.
Yeah.
Or to have it shaped because of what they're telling you it needs to be. Right. Come on, what are we doing?
And this guy has one thing that he believes in and he's focused on. And if you look at this one, it seems like somebody who knows exactly what they want.
That's good.
What they believe in. You look over here, confused.
Yeah.
Confused.
Man, that's powerful, Trey. Because they're trying to tap into all that.
Yeah.
Or here it is. They tried the one.
Yeah.
It didn't work, so they tried something else.
Yeah.
They went on to something else. And Steven says it's the best. He says it's like finding the new high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you take that one you get sensitized to it or callous to it.
Yeah.
And now you got to find something else to maximize it.
Yes.
And then when you get, and this right here, I mean, imagine, I don't even have to imagine it. There's people in the world right now in Marion County.
Yeah.
That's just like this.
Yeah.
And it's not bashing you,
Mm-hmm.
but this is where we said back to our other point.
They call us, if you notice in this, they're the ones calling the Christian brainwashed.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's what baffles me.
Yeah.
We're the one brainwashed while you're fighting through.
Got a lot going on.
Come on. What are we, come on.
Got a lot going on. Yeah. I seen that and I was like, wow, if that isn't how the majority of society is nowadays. And it's just a simple picture. It's nothing crazy complex, but it really sums up how it is right now. And it's just wild because if you look at them both, and it's like that one is, if any of them is the one that's brainwashed. So, but that's what we was talking about, pointing the finger though.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? They want to say that the Christian is brainwashed. He's got one thing on him. He believes in each stage. And like you said, jump into the next thing, the next high, trying to find happiness. Once you start looking deeper into God and growing a relationship with God, that is a happiness that you can't experience from anything else.
Teach us.
You know what I mean? That's eternal happiness.
That's good.
And these are all temporary happiness things.
Which is why there's so many.
Yeah.
That picture is so profound because
if it's right and you can actually find real happiness in that, you shouldn't need anything else.
Yeah.
But this shows right here that they keep jumping to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing.
Right. If they're pointing the finger of the IPPF, whatever that is, and that doesn't work,
right,
then they're going to point the finger of addiction.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, next we're going to come with Confucius, whatever, they'll cycle through each of those until they try to trick, this one must going to offend you.
Yeah.
So they'll cycle through all of that.
Right.
Not realizing they're the one brainwashed because they got to go through all that to try to convince you. I mean,
notice nothing in their heart on the left photo. Nothing on their heart. Yes, there is nothing on their heart. Good observation, Stephen. Nothing. There's something everything else. Everywhere else. Nothing on their heart, though.
It's actually the only open space on the body.
Yeah. And they got a mask hanging over it.
And that's the only the reason why. Because there's only one thing that can truly fill the void in your heart.
Man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And that's the love of Christ.
And I wish I would have looked up ahead of time what each one of those things meant but I'm not even sure I want to know at this point because it'll probably just make me mad because it's like, is this really even a thing? And sure enough, it is.
Oh, for sure.
If you can think of the most outlandish thing that you can think of, it's probably a thing.
For sure. Now, I guarantee it.
It looks like someone who is trying to convince themselves of what they want compared to someone who knows what they want. Yeah.
Olivia got some depth in her comments.
Someone that is just very unhappy and unsatisfied, trying to bounce around to everything except God.
It's an identity issue.
Yeah.
And that's the theme, it's been my theme of this year is identity. Right.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. It's an identity issue. So to your point, and that's the thing she said, convincing themselves, right? Because you're not going to convince me.
Right.
So you're trying to convince yourself that what you're trying to tell me is right. Yeah. And then you get mad at me when I'm not buying into what you're trying to convince me of. But yet I'm the problem because I'm not believing that.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know whose I am. Right. You're still trying to find out what you are, who you are, what you're connected to, what you really identify as.
Yeah.
You're going to go through your whole life going through this cycle of lost identity.
And they bounce around to everything except God. It is like they have this undescribable hate for the religion, and I don't know where it comes from.
Truth, knowing that it's the actual truth, that if they actually found themselves identifying with it, it'll discourage everything else.
And I feel like it's just everything that society is being taught. Like starting with what the president did with Resurrection Sunday. They're making it seem like everything is okay except that. You know what I mean? Probably ain't no probably about it. The one that holds the most weight and the one that is the most effective.
Right. And that's what it is.
Let's move as far away from that as possible.
Yep.
So, and like you said about the truth, there was an actor that said it. She said, the further as a society that we grow away from the truth, the more we learn to despise it.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we have grown very far away from the truth. And that's why so many people despise it.
That's it.
Because
Wrong
they think
is
it's
right,
wrong.
right is wrong. Ah,
You know, they think it's wrong.
that's it. Yeesh.
Jennifer Parcell, fighting for acceptance for sins will never happen. The true acceptance is only from God. Yeah.
That's it.
They're looking for true love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, don't get us singing. I can't sing a lick. Mark gonna have to harmonize for me.
Tell Steven to come on downstairs for a minute.
This will get real bad. I start singing. People start dropping out the thing and all that. Oh, we ain't listening to that.
That's funny.
Okay, so South Carolina head coach Don Staley, and this goes back to what we were saying about the tide shifting, more people with the platform and on TV and everything, showing more tributes to God. You know, so I wanted to go ahead. Did you watch the women's national championship game?
Yes, sir.
Did you see Don Staley?
I didn't see. What did I see? I seen where she was doing the actual press conference.
Okay.
But I didn't see her after game.
Yeah, so this was right after the game on the court, and I thought this was cool to see. And I think it's just cool because it's like right after we're talking about it, stuff like this just keeps on happening more and more and more. And I don't know if it's because we talk about it that I'm paying attention to it more now.
Possibly, yeah.
But I thought it was cool.
The loss that we had last year to put us back here with a totally different team. If you don't believe in God, something's wrong with you. Seriously, I'm a believer. I'm a believer because He makes things come true. But when you're at your worst, He's at His best. Look at Him. Look at Him.
See, that's one thing I love about it. She said, when you're at your worst, He's at His best.
Right?
Man.
The Bible actually says, in your weakness, He's made strong, which means that there has to be some humility.
Yeah.
But I love what she said. If you don't believe in God, something wrong with you.
Something's wrong.
And she's at this point, the women's sport, and just to pivot, has got more national attention.
Yeah.
Than we, at least I've seen in our generation. You can attribute that to Caitlin Clark or to the LSU
Angel Reed,
or even Camille, whoever you want to attribute it to. But she took the opportunity to get on that national platform, knowing that all lights and all eyes are on her.
Yeah.
And not to mention, she is one of the most, if not the most winningest coach in women college basketball.
Yeah.
But to get on here and say, listen, all of this is because of him.
Yeah. We're going to celebrate, but we got to celebrate.
God, come on, man. We're not going to move past this moment until I give homage and respect to the one that got us here.
Yeah. And when she was just like, when you're at your worst, He's at His best. And I was like, man, He's got to be at His best to get you out of your worst. You know, He has to.
Teach us. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep saying there's a word. But again, that's being unashamed.
Yeah.
That's not caring who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's making sure that anytime I get an opportunity to share His love with my sphere of influence, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what she's done.
Yeah.
And so many others, like Denzel. And I tip my hat to those people, man.
Yeah. Because they don't have to do it. The fact that they are, I think, is necessary, and we need it as a society more than ever now.
Come on.
Honestly, because I mean, just with the picture that I put up there, man, that's the people that she's talking about when she says something's wrong with you. I mean, it's obvious. You look at that picture, it's obvious something's wrong. And I'm not, like you said, I'm not trying to disrespect you or make you feel bad about yourself, but that is what mental illness looks like. You know what I mean? That is when you are not able to use common sense to decide what you should actually make a priority and what you shouldn't, so or what's actually going to help your life as opposed to just making it worse.
Right. It's like I don't know what they call them, but my mom had one. It was like those things that had all these note cards in it.
Yeah.
And she would go through them.
Uh-huh.
It's like she had like recipes in them or addresses or phone numbers, but she would go through it She would pick it up, and if it wasn't what she wanted, she would just keep going through.
Right.
But she kept it in there.
Yeah.
Just in case she had to go back to it.
Right.
And that's what people do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I may not need you right now, but I may need you later. So I'm going to keep you in there. Oh, this is what I need for this moment.
Right.
And for me, I go to mine. It's just one.
Yeah.
And on that is all the information I need, but I don't know what they call it. Like a note card.
Like a filing cabinet for note cards.
Yeah. Like a little thing. You just go through it and you find what you need.
Yeah.
And if it's not convenient for the situation, you put it back in for later and you go to the next one.
Uh-huh.
And that's what people do.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just, like you said, you're not bashing, but that to me is evidence that something's missing.
Yeah. I sympathize for you.
Yeah. Because
I feel bad for you because it's like you're obviously lost and you're searching for something to bring you happiness. But
in all the wrong places.
In all the wrong places. And we ain't going to sing for y'all again. We ain't gonna sing for y'all again. Stop trying to get us to sing again.
Yeah, I see what y'all doing.
I see what y'all doing. You didn't just quit. Like we said, we don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, know what you're doing,
Olivia. We don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
You trying to get us to harmonize on here? They want quantity over quality.
Yeesh.
Man, shoot, she got something in her.
I'm telling you, there's oil there. Man.
Okay, so Scotty Scheffler, just won the 2024 Masters.
He did.
He's the number 1 golfer in the world right now.
Yes, he is.
And in his press conference, they asked him what defined him. Okay. And this is what he said right here.
Gosh, I don't know. You probably have to ask my wife. No, I'm a faithful guy. I believe in a creator. I believe in Jesus. Ultimately, I think that's what defines me the most. Yeah, I feel like I've been given a platform to compete and, show my talent. It's not anything that I did. I think I sat up here a couple years ago doing the interview after the 2022 Masters, and it's like, yeah, I was underprepared for what was about to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't, I was very anxious that morning. I didn't know what to expect, and it's hard to describe the feeling, but I think that's what defines me the most is my faith. I believe in one creator, and I've been called to come out here, do my best, compete, and glorify God, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I ain't got nothing else for you guys. It's that simple.
Bro, that's the takeaway I got. I have nothing else to offer you. That's it.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing that, then I don't know what else. Man.
So for the number 1 golfer, and like this isn't just any golfer, you know what I mean? This is the number 1 golfer in the world. He just won the Masters,
which is,
you know what I mean?
The Masters is it's equivalent to the Super Bowl for the NFL,
yeah,
or the NBA championship.
Yeah,
like the Masters is the catalyst for golfing.
Yeah,
he is now the number 1 guy.
Yeah, in
the world. He is now what some will say he is now the Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
but it's no longer it's Scott Scheffler. That's the guy, and the fact that he took this. Now, here's the thing. Talking about that visibility day, they're bringing visibility day back to where it belongs.
Yes,
from Denzel to Don, now to Scott. Prolific. Here it is in their areas of influence.
Yeah.
You have one that has now, from an actor standpoint, you have one from the college or collegiate, and then from the professional standpoint. And I know we can probably go through every sport, like you said, the Buckeyes, but you have this guy that says nonchalantly, when I think about it, it's my faith.
Yeah, yeah. And you can tell he didn't have that. He didn't have that ready to go.
And that's what I love about it.
It just came to him.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah,
he thought about it. It's like, you know what? I could say anything, but no, when I really think about it, it's my faith.
Yeah. And this isn't, he said, and he pretty much said, this isn't happening because of me.
That's what he said.
You know what I mean? This isn't happening because of me. So I just thought that was real nice. And I love seeing videos like that because it's like, there are people down here still fighting for God.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Because it seems like everybody wants to promote the demonic, evil stuff now because it's cool. It's trendy. It's just good to see people in positions like that still fighting for God.
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
That's it.
And that lets you know right there, the battle ain't over.
Oh, no.
Rolodex. You know what that is?
I'm not sure what context that
Yeah, I
is
need
coming
that.
after.
Can we get some more clarification on that? I don't know what
I'm not
Rolodex
sure
is.
what Rolodex is.
I thought it said Rolex when I was looking
did
at
too.
it.
And I could have made a sermon out of that real quick with Rolodex. I'm not sure.
Yeah. You learn anything from the Bible, it's that when you don't have God present in your life, things don't turn out good.
Period. I talked about that last night. It's the authority. It's what gives you the unction to function.
Right.
And you know, I mean, again, you know, I
oh it's for them cards. It's for the no cards.
Jen's probably like, so she goes to our church. Yeah. My bad, Jen. The timing of when we read it. That's what you keep.
See, this is why you need women, right?
Yes,
because I would never know that.
I would. What we call it, a note card keeper.
Yeah.
No, you call it a filing cabinet for recipes.
Yeah, man. See, that was the card file you were looking through.
Okay, my bad. Listen, I'm glad you gave content because I would have been scratching my head. What is a Rolodex?
Yeah, we thought we were missing something, man.
Clearly.
That's why you need women in the chat, though, because they know when it comes to like anything that has to do with organizing stuff, they know it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have guessed.
You know what I mean? I called it a note card filing cabinet.
Yeah, a whole filing cabinet. 8x10.
Man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jen. It was kind of like yesterday when you was talking to he was with Shaq. You was talking about that matcha tea.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think you called it coffee or something.
Mocha, yeah.
Yeah. And I think somebody said no, it's tea.
Yeah.
And then you Googled it, it's like, no, it is green tea.
Yeah.
I chuckled at that. I was like,
I just never heard it called that before.
Me neither.
Yeah. That's like one of those fancy names that you'll go into a shop.
Yeah, see,
a fancy coffee shop and order a matcha.
Yeah, just give me a green tea, which I guess is a type of green tea.
Give me a green tea.
Yeah, they keep it simple. You get all fancy with me.
Fancy. Shaq just wanted to show his versatility.
Yeah, he did. Wanted to flex for his birthday.
All right, bro. You're 31.
Right.
We know.
We got it.
You're grown. But no, I mean, and this was a topic I had, and I feel like we talked about it already because it just kind of came naturally in what we were talking about. It seems like some people are willing to believe in anything except God.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes with that picture that we had up there. I mean, you're believing that all this stuff is going to bring you happiness except the one thing that really is.
You know, believing in God means that some level of truth is entered.
Yeah.
Here's what I say, and I've said this on the brew, I've said it this in teachings and other capacities. You have some level of truth in you. At some point, for those people that are saying that he's not real or they're choosing not to believe in anything that God has said or stood for, means at some point you heard about it and now you're disagreeing with it, which means that seed has been sown.
Right.
Words are seeds. And I've said this multiple times. Words are seeds. And regardless of, what words are, what you let come into your mind and in your heart, it's up to you to water it. So you may choose not to water the seed that was sown when it comes to that, but it's in there. And that's why you work overtime to not believe in it, because it's starting to sprout. Because there's probably those still small moments when you're by yourself and you're thinking, man, but what if he actually does exist?
Yeah.
What if?
They have to have that thought to not believe in it. They have to have that thought.
Yeah.
Because if that wasn't a thought, then you wouldn't be able to decide that you don't.
That's good, Trey.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
They have to have that thought. So, I mean, it's confused people. I mean, when you see how confused they are with stuff that we have going on in the world, it's not going to be hard for them to be confused in what they want to believe as far as religion or what happens after you die or what to believe in.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's good.
It's just lost people, man. Like I said, if anything, I sympathize for them, because they are so confused.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So all you can do is pray for them, like we said.
Yeah. Keep saying truth.
So were you able to see the eclipse?
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I love your comment that you put on your page.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to paraphrase, and obviously you can correct as you put it on there, but you said, I believed in God, or I always believed in God. But seeing that,
Yeah.
Wow. And I may have been paraphrasing, but
that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Even for me, I stand my entire being, my life is and on my faith. Much like Scott said, I do what I do because I want to bring glory to him.
Yeah.
But seeing that eclipse,
oh yeah,
seeing the moon, watching at 3:00 in the afternoon, it go from, I think it was like 70 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And it dropped down to a cool 55.
It got cold. About went back inside.
No, man, the eclipse is over. It got chilly. But to see it in its fullness, to see it in real time.
Yeah.
And to watch the moon come into over the sun, but then to show how powerful the sun is, that just a little bit of light,
man, was still keeping it lit.
Come on, man.
And it was, like you said, you can believe in something with every fabric of your being.
Right.
Completely believe in it deep in your soul, in your heart. But to have it verified in front of you feels like I said, I don't have words for it. It feels so euphoric.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Because it didn't seem real.
Right.
I was like, this is something on such a large scale that you would only ever see in something like a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Our pastor, Danny Akers, he said, and it stuck with me. He said that was the one time that more people will be looking up than any time ever. And bro,
Steve will put you on blast.
No, he's putting himself on blast.
Don't let Martin fool you. He was sitting there with eyes burning, panicking.
Now, hold on. Now, since you want to say that, because he's right upstairs, we're in Connect Co-works. He's right upstairs. We're going to jump. We're going to go live at 12 o'clock. Okay. But I want to make sure people understand when we're talking about the sign.
Yeah.
Steven came outside the church, bro.
Yeah.
And as soon as he walked outside, looked directly at the sun with no sunglasses on.
That's faith.
You call it.
That's
okay,
faith,
we'll say faith. Trey's saving you right now. He's saving you. I call that foolery.
Yeah,
he walks out and then he says, well, I didn't know we weren't supposed to look at the sun. I thought the whole point of the eclipse was to be able to look at it. Yeah, bro. Once the moon is over it, my guy came. He says, yeah. Okay, so now you got him on.
Hey,
see what you did?
I gave him out.
Yeah, you did. Now he's going to run with that. Well, then let me say this. Your faith wasn't fully working then. My guy came outside the church and looked directly at the sun,
man,
and said, why's my eyes hurting? He said, I didn't know we weren't supposed to do that.
He's one of them. He's one of the people that they're interviewing afterwards, asking how they enjoyed it, and the hole around their eyes is red and stuff.
I thought it was great.
It was awesome.
Now, again, he said, I was
trying to do that drone footage.
Yeah, I mean, he was. But I mean, my guy came out. He came up to me and said, I look directly at the sun. And his wife was like, why would you do that?
Right.
Now, my mistake was I was using the glasses, but as I held the glasses up, I took them down too soon. So I caught a glimpse of it as I was pulling them down.
Yeah.
So it's like these flashing lights was in my eyes. So that was.
See, I was on the other end of it. Like, I didn't know you could take the glasses off when it completely covered it. So I'm sitting there with the glasses on still, and I'm like, I don't see nothing.
It's pitch black.
Yeah. Now I take them off, and then I looked at it, and I just was like,
yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes. And most people actually had that confusion because they didn't think, they thought that once the total eclipse happened, that's where you weren't supposed to take them off. And it was the opposite effect.
Yeah, they should have put instructions on the glasses. Step 1. Step 2.
Have an operator's manual.
Yeah. It's got to come with instructions. There's too much.
Too much going on.
Yeah, there's too much potential for somebody to get hurt.
My guy said too much potential for somebody to get hurt.
Man, but it was awesome though, man. And somebody told me something and I looked it up, and sure enough, for that to have happened perfectly, for the moon to have lined up, and this is back to with the coincidences, and when we talking about space and stuff, for the moon to have lined up perfectly and covered the sun perfectly like that, the sun is 400 times further away, and the moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun. So the sun is 400 times further away from Earth than the moon is, and the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, which from us viewing it down here makes the moon line up perfectly with the sun.
Oh my gosh.
That is insane. I looked it up to fact check it because that's one of those things. It's like, Now that's too crazy to be real. That's too coincidental.
I'm with you.
But they were saying in the article I was reading, they was like, that's why if you look up in the sky, even when there isn't an eclipse, the sun is always the same size as the moon.
Wow.
And it's because it's the same distance away from Earth as the moon is smaller than the sun. So that's why it lined up perfectly like that.
And there's a verse in Romans. I think we said this last time we were on, maybe a few more Thursdays before.
Mm-hmm.
But in Romans, it says that I'm going to give you signs that when you see them, you won't have any explanation as to it being me. And the number, and again, numbers matter.
Yeah.
Numbers and but I did not realize the details until you just the exact number that it's away is the exact number that it is to cover.
Because we all know that the sun is much bigger than the moon.
Yes.
So for the moon to be able to line up perfectly and cover the sun, the sun had to be 400 times further away and the moon to be 400 times smaller than the sun
to get the effect that we got.
To get that effect. And you want to talk about perfection. You know what I mean? Because those numbers could have very easily been off.
Absolutely.
And you know what I mean? The sun and the moon wouldn't cover the sun the way it did. You know what I mean? There would still be a lot of sunlight.
If it was 399, it wouldn't have worked.
It's crazy. That's insane to think about. It's insane to think about.
If it was 401, if it was 401 times being away, it would have been too far. Or if it was 401 times smaller, it would have been too small.
Perfect. It was perfect.
Bruh, come on.
Perfect. I don't want to hear nothing no more. I don't want to hear nothing no more. Because when you look at it like that, it's like that was set up perfectly for us to see it exactly like that.
That's powerful.
There was a article that I also read where because they were coming out with all these articles about the eclipses and stuff. And they said, I believe it was 655 BC. Mm-hmm. These two armies were battling and they were like in mid battle. Okay. Killing each other, swords, shields, all that stuff, whatever they used back at those times. And a total solar eclipse happened in the middle of battle. They said that they all stopped, looked up at it, and they took that as a sign and instantly signed a peace treaty.
What?
Signed a peace treaty. Stopped the battle right there. They took it as a sign from God, like they shouldn't be battling. Stopped right there, signed a peace treaty. Peace. stopped fighting right there in the middle of it.
Bruh.
And you got to think, because I mean, just imagine you're in the middle of battle, and if you don't know anything about that stuff, you know what I mean, it's nothing that you've ever heard of,
that's
experienced,
true.
Whatever, and you look up and that's in the sky. I'm either taking it as like I'm doing something real right, or I'm doing something real wrong.
They must have thought it was something real wrong for them.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's go ahead and sign these documents. We done.
Yeah, and if I'm out here killing people, I'm just going to take it as a sign I'm doing something wrong. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So you look to the sky. That was the doing of the sun, not the sun. That's why you look to the sun. Ooh, that can get tricky. You read that?
Olivia is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I see.
My kids saw it and immediately started praying, thanking God. I just see a lot of people didn't know about those numbers, how those had to be perfect for that to line up perfectly like that.
I did it.
But even if you don't know those numbers, I feel like you have to be trying really hard to look up at that and not think that there's something much greater than us.
Come on.
You know what I mean? That is just,
even if you try to blame it just on science.
Yeah.
Science can't predict that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they could see it because God gave them the ability to see how it was moving.
Yeah.
But even as being a science, whatever it is, you look up and you see a total solar eclipse in all of its glory.
Yeah.
I don't care how deep you are. That's going to make you be like, wow.
I just don't know what kind of verification you need if that isn't enough, right? Because we've already talked about our solar system and how we're perfectly positioned and how things just fell into place perfectly for us to be able to exist and thrive.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean? And then you look up at that, and after finding out about the numbers, how it had to be perfect for it to line up like that, it's just like, come on, how many times are we going to chalk it up as coincidence before we see that this is strategically placed this way?
Come on.
It's strategically placed this way, you know?
And it's placed for you to benefit from.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy.
Yeah.
He did it all for you. He worked it all out for you.
Yeah. they are 7 and 8 and don't know the science yet. Yeah, and we talked about it on here before with kids, kids having an interest in God and not knowing much about it. It just seems like they're drawn to it. And when they're that young, they're pure, I guess you would say. They're very pure.
Absolutely.
And they haven't been persuaded or conflicted with the outside world yet.
That's why Christ said many times on his walk when he was walking on the earth before he died, have faith, childlike faith. Come to me as a child would. Why? To that point, they're not going to really, their observation, not necessarily, their curiosity is what gets them closer to wanting to know that. Is they're not questioning, well, why? And if they are questioning it, it's truly because of the curiosity is, wow, that's cool. I want to know more about it. Not, wow, that happened. Why did, why? No. There is no why. I want to know more. And it's that childlike innocence. And we talk, I know we did. It's just like, they're blindly, in a good way, it's just blind now. They want to know more. They're
just drawn to it. It's like it's just like naturally, they're just drawn to it naturally. So you can't explain why. You can't explain like what their interest is in it or what got them to that point. It's just like it's an instinct. Almost.
Right.
So, but hey, everyone, appreciate you guys tuning in. Martin's actually about to jump right from this podcast to another podcast with Steven. He's on the move today.
Man, listen, on the move. I count it all joy. So Thursdays are always my, a little more laid back. And I think a few morning brews I said, it's the morning brew, so I'm going to say it. I actually said that a few times. And Trey's like, go ahead, say it. So Monday, I did my Monday night Devo. And that's a little more, you got to give them the words. A little more, yesterday, I taught Bible study for our church because we had everybody stay home. I was going to be teaching anyway. I knew looking forward to the morning brew because it's a little more, I'm a little more laid back. I can just be myself. But then me and Steven are thinking of we've launched we wanted to do a podcast. We think we call it the Great Commission. And we'll actually have Josh Davis, who's an evangelist, with us. He was with us last Thursday. So we're trying to do the Thursday thing. So we'll be talking about same situation, talking about God. But yeah, it's been this is why we talked about the harvest. I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, man. Like I said, I was looking forward to getting on here this morning. Woke up early, got here early, and just we enjoy it, man. And whose page is that going to be on? Is it going to be on yours or his?
It'll be both of ours.
Okay, so if you see Steven in the comments right now, that's his Facebook. You can either go to his or Martin's page. They're about to be live streaming at 12. So make sure you go tune into them. Steven said he ate all the trail mix, so that's gone.
This dude is funny, man. Steven, and the fact is, we're in Connect Co-works, and I know Trey would do his due diligence, and we're going to do ours when we do ours. But again, shout out to, I'm drinking out of the coffee mug. Shout out to Connect Co-works. Beautiful place. I'll let Trey do that. But the fact that he ate up all the trail, but knowing that he's just right upstairs.
Well, he just came to the door there.
This dude, man. As he's probably munching on the trail mix.
So if you guys got a meeting or something, or you were coming up here to do some work at Connect Co-works today, the trail mix is gone.
You understand?
Gone.
So we got to tell Taylor she's going to put some more trail mix in there. Her or Luke.
So don't come up here with your taste buds looking forward to
the trail mix. Apples up there, though.
There's some apples and oranges. But when you got caramel trail mix, who wants apples and oranges?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
We're talking apples and oranges here.
Literally.
But hey, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you go over to their page and see what they got to talk about today. At noon, they will be going live. And like I said, man, appreciate you guys getting on the comments, interacting with us. I want this to be an interactive podcast so we can talk to you guys in real time, answer questions, talk about anything you guys want to talk about. But besides that, appreciate you guys coming on, and I will see you next episode.
Absolutely.